Welcome to GermiNation, the podcast where seeds tell their stories. I'm your host, Cindy Hicks, coming to you from the Iowa State University Seed Science Center, a global leader in seed research, education, and outreach. Each episode, we dig into the beauty, wonder, and science of seeds, those tiny little powerhouses at the heart of agriculture, biodiversity, and global food security. Through conversations with scientists, farmers, industry leaders, and change makers around the world, we explore how seeds connect us, sustain us, and shape our future. This is GermiNation, where every great story starts with a seed.
Hey, little seed. What do you need to help you grow?
Today on GermiNation, we're joined by Yacouba Diallo, Secretary General of the African Seed Trade Association. He is a passionate advocate for agricultural development and community empowerment across Africa. Through his work, Dr. Diallo has focused on strengthening local farming systems, improving access to quality inputs, and creating opportunities for farmers to thrive in challenging environments. His perspective sits at the intersection of agriculture, innovation, and human impact, reminding us that behind every seed is a story of resilience, opportunity, and growth. In this conversation, we'll explore how stronger seed systems can transform communities, what it takes to support farmers on the ground, and where the future of agriculture in Africa is headed. Yacouba, welcome to GermiNation, and thank you for joining us. I say this morning, but it's late afternoon where you are.
Thank you again. Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to join this conversation.
Exactly where you are at in Africa?
So I'm based in Nairobi in Kenya, where is the headquarters of the African Seed Trade Associations. I'm leading this organization since 2 years now, trying to move and strive the seed industry in the continent.
Can you share with us your personal journey into agriculture and what inspired your commitment to supporting farmers across Africa?
Okay, thank you. Again, my journey into agriculture began earlier in my career when I started working on agricultural development projects and also at the National Agricultural Research Institute in my country, in Burkina Faso, where I was at that time engaged with smallholder farmers in the salient part of the countries. I was supporting them to adopt new technologies, to develop their productivities, and also linking them with the market, agricultural market. During that journey, I have been so excited to find out that agriculture is not only a livelihood of these people, it was a matter of the resistance and the resilience of this community. What truly inspired my commitment to support small farmers across Africa came when I have tried to dive into the challenges of the agricultural systems. And I finally realized that with some political support, political with capacity building of community and agribusinesses, we can make sure that the yields can be double when we promote, improve technologies, when we empower small farmers to produce quality food and link them with the market. So since that period, I have been fully engaged all my career to work in scale holders. Thank you.
In your position with the African Seed Trade Association, what do you find is the biggest challenges farmers face today when it comes to accessing quality seed?
Yeah, from my perspective, so working in African seed sectors, the biggest challenges farmers face in accessing quality seed are multiple, but we can group them into 4 or 5 key challenges. For my perspective, the first one is the limited awareness and knowledge of smallholder farmers in Africa. Sometimes they are not aware of the existence of the technologies, so they can't get access if they are not aware of that. The second challenge is big challenges for me throughout my experience is the regulatory systems. We have in Africa many fragmented and I can say restrictive regulation system across the continent. Yes, there are some harmonizations of seed regulation ongoing. Its implementation, there are so many challenges which do not facilitate farmer access to quality seed. The third big challenges we have in the African seed system is the distributions network. We have in many countries infrastructure in making that many quality seed don't reach farmers at the remote area. So because of the network, which is not very well consolidated, farmer cannot get access to improve materials and quality seed. The third one, which is cross-cutting to all the agricultural value chain, is also the financial constraints. African agriculture, like I can say, adopted financial models. So again, one of the key challenges are there, small farmer cannot afford them because of the funding mechanism in place don't support them very well. And the last but not the least can be also the climate smart seed gap. Africa is affected by climate change, and there are already existing climate smart varieties developed by breeding institutions, but again, all of them don't reach the farm gate. So one of the last biggest challenges is climate smart gap. So that is what I think if we succeed to work on these challenges, we can develop the seed systems in the continent.
It's interesting that you should talk about the access to seeds and the challenges. On a personal note, I've been doing work in Ghana with 4-H clubs. And one of the things that I've been told over and over is that the number one determinant on whether a student will continue with 4-H is access to quality seed. They go into 4-H, they learn to do everything right. They learn about soil testing, they learn about fertilizer and germination. But when their seeds don't germinate, when they don't come up, they lose interest. Their confidence goes down, and they're more likely to drop out of the 4-H.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when you're looking at the future of farming in Africa and feeding a continent and a growing population, if your kids are getting discouraged and they're the future, it's not a good thing. But I think that is being worked out rather nicely, at least in Ghana anyway. How do strong seed systems directly impact food security and economic opportunities in the communities that you work with?
Yeah, again, already documented by scholar, by research that quality seeds contribute up to 30 or 50% of crop yields. So having a strong seed system can impact the global agricultural sector in terms of addressing, the yield gap, in terms also of addressing the climate change challenges we have been facing in the continent, but also strong seed system provide many sources for nutrients dense products. So again, seeds can contribute to increase the productivity. The strong seed system will increase the nutrition components. When it comes to the economic impact at the household level, again, has been already demonstrated. Small farmers who adopted improved seeds can have the also growth accordingly, and they have also this opportunity to jump into other new markets. So again, with strong seed system, we can have more productions. We can address the nutrition aspect. We can have also more output, agri output to the markets. So again, we can also address the matter of creating economic for the local communities. Seeds itself is a green, but when you have a good seed in the farms, it has many other implications. And for us, for my perspective and my understanding, if we have a strong seed system, which is the foundations of the agricultural development, we can create more economic opportunities for the communities and for the entire nations. So again, seed is an input, but with huge impact on the populations and the global economy.
Yeah, I read a story speaking about nutrients about Zambia and their maize, white maize, just about every meal in their nashima. And scientists were looking for a way to help them with a health problem that was really a big deal in Zambia. It was called hidden hunger, and it was due to a lack of vitamin. They bred vitamin A into the corn, which was the staple food for people. Yeah, seed can even be medicine and can make a big impact. You've obviously worked closely with farmers on the ground. What are some of the most powerful stories or moments that have shaped your work?
Yeah, this is working not only in Zambia, in many parts of the continent. Now we have some variety, enriched varieties with vitamin A. We have beta carotenes included in some seeds. So again, we have now more varieties with nutrient dense included in these things to facilitate the gap of nutrition challenges in the continent, particularly for children. We have now many other development of varieties which address the nutrition challenges in the continent. And this is something good, and we have in our strategic at core at AFSA here pushing the adoptions of high yield, climate resilience, and nutrient-dense varieties to be upscaled and adopted by farmers in the continent.
Well, and when you're looking at adoption of different practices, you're also dealing with local knowledges and traditional practices. How can those be combined with modern agricultural innovations to improve outcomes?
Yes, again, so today for the technologies to be adopted, we need both the traditional knowledge and the knowledge brought by, and the science-based knowledge, let's say like this, because against the Africans, farmers has a long traditions in dealing with agricultural sector with various components in terms of traditional knowledge to in the breeding process, how the variety selections has been handled traditionally by our farmers, and for generation, this can be combined today with in terms of participatory approach and bringing the new breeding techniques together and work with farmer knowledge and the science-based knowledge to come up with adapted varieties on the tables. Beyond also the development of the varieties, combining farmer knowledge and science-based, modern science-based knowledge, we have all the agricultural practices for long time implemented by the African and the traditional farmers. I mean here, for example, land management, water conservations, and also organic fertilizer development. We have a long traditions experience on this, which can be combined together with modern techniques to make sure that we can have our impact at scales. Again, today in Africa, our vision is not to replace the modern techniques in agricultural sector by to replace the traditional by the modern, but it's how combine both and take advantage of the knowledge from both sides and make sure that we can have the two on board and bring more solutions to our farmers and also to all the entire community.
I shared with you my experience in Ghana with 4-H and the impact that access to quality seed has on the youth there. What role does education, in your mind, especially for youth, play in building sustainable agricultural systems?
Yeah, there is no agricultural development without education, and particularly education of the youth. When you look at today in Africa, and for my experience in working in the agriculture and food system for a long time, one of the area where we can tap on and develop the agricultural systems, including the seed system in the continent, is educations, particularly targeting the youth, which represent, more than 35% of the agricultural workforce in the continent. Africa is the world's youngest continent, and today the youth are the most population engaged in the agricultural sector. And educations can cover all the value chains from the breeding process to seed production to agricultural and agronomic practices, and also literacy development in business and financial educations. And today, with all of the innovations in terms of digital techniques, climate adaptations, leadership, and mentorship, there are so many areas which we think can be combined with African knowledge and bring knowledge solution through adapted education farmers and particularly the youth. We are sure that if we succeed to educate more Africans, we can definitely increase the productivity, we can definitely address the climate issues, we can definitely facilitate the development of innovative agri-businesses led by the youth to give another vision, another perspective to our agricultural systems. And there are so many experiences right now where combining training with small scale, small package of inputs, and also linking farmers with the market with trainings and educations on market opportunities, we can develop a successful agribusiness in the continent. In my past experience working, for example, in Mali, where I spent some time here working in the cereal value chains project funded at that time by the USA, it was a program exclusively focused on capacity building of smallholder farmers through their cooperatives. We don't give them any other solution except knowledge, technology, and market linkage. And we have seen how it has helped these farmers sometime to get access to an input solution, to get access to market solutions, and also to get access to financial solutions. And we have so many success stories where the program has been able to move some of these small older farmers from real poverty situation to a situation where they can bring their kid to school, where they have been able to build new house for their families, and so on and so forth. Again, education is a key, and we don't need to negotiate on income to develop the agricultural sector in Africa.
Well, and I was going to ask you about empowering smallholder farmers to adopt new technologies and practices, but I think you just hit the nail on the head when you said education and access is.
Yeah, when it's come to adopt new technologies, yes, education is a key for them, but beyond the education, small farmer want to see the evidence of the technologies we provide to them. And that can happen if we associate them in the development or in the implementation, for example, of demonstration plots on these technologies led by their farmers in their areas, and the successful plot we can convince a farm field days visit for their peer to see how far technologies we are bringing. It can be seed new varieties, it can be best practices, it can be combined solutions, including input, best practices, and why not small scale equipment, farm equipment together. This is a key. So demonstration plot plus field days or farmer schools, which has been also another models, can be some option to educate farmer to adopt technologies. Again, one of the things we have noted also is the farmers, when they are part of the development of the technologies of innovation, the adoption rate is more better, and the adoption is faster. So again, we don't need to develop technologies elsewhere and bring them to for their adoptions. If they are associated to the development process of the technologies, they can adopt it. That's why when I was in the research organizations and the breeding programs, when we were started by the participatory varieties development, before we release officially some of the varieties that are already adopted by the farmers. This is something we have to work on it. Adoptions by small farmers also may require the accessibility of the technologies. Yes, having the pilots is good, they can adopt it, but at the end of the day, we need to have them accessible at the affordable cost. If the technologies is available, is accessible at the affordable cost, we think definitely the adoption rate can be higher. And that's why we may need to have all the partners together, the technology providers, the extension services, and also those who are engaged in capacity building and training. And also, we think we need some policies, some regulation to support the early adopters, some small grants at the beginning or at the introduction of the technologies can be good, it can be an asset for the adoptions. Why not some, some grants or some tax frees on some new technologies we are convinced can facilitate farmer adoption of these technologies, including improved varieties of seeds.
Well, and the story I told you about Zambia and the fortified corn, one of the problems with that corn was instead of white, it was orange. And people thought it was rotten. And no matter what the scientists said, the people were suspicious of the corn until they started planting it and growing it and showing that it was a good thing. And so I think, as you said, the smallholder farmers, showing them and having their neighbors involved is really important to the process. But even further, how do partnerships between governments, NGOs, and the private sector help strengthen agriculture and seed access?
Yeah, demonstration showing them how yellow maize or yellow corn can have another value additions, can be a good things. And also facilitating exchange experience. I grew up in the regions where we eat only yellow maize. For me, I discovered the white. We don't eat white, but in the other region, for example, in East Africa here, there are more focus on white maize. So if we have some experience sharings, and they can see also how other communities are using it and have been fed by these varieties, that can facilitate. You know, in West Africa, we have both the yellow and the white. And particularly in my family, we have always eaten the yellow one. I don't know why, but I grew up finding we were eating only the yellow maize in my family.
So, looking ahead, what opportunities do you see for innovation in African agriculture, particularly in seed systems?
Okay, looking ahead, the opportunities for innovation in Africa agriculture, and as you say, in the seed systems are many. One of the things is, again, Africa has a growing population. So it means that the market also, the demand will be growing, continuously growing. And this is a big opportunity seed businesses. That is something we have to consider not as a challenge, but also an opportunity in terms of market development. Today's one of the opportunities we can see here is, again, when we start at the beginning of the value chains, we have the breeding techniques today coming of all the gene editings, biotechnologies today can provide huge opportunities to fast track and lower the cost of the plant breedings in Africa. So this is an area where we personally are promoting within AFSA to make sure that gene editing, CRISPR-Cas, or all the borer resistance cowpeas and drought tolerant varieties with the technologies and biotech are bringing here can be widely adopted in the continent to make sure that we can provide more solutions to our farmers. This is something in terms of breeding. We have now today use opportunities also when it's come to digitalizations. Today with the AI tools and the digital solutions, we can facilitate connections with the farmer. It will considerably reduce, as we mentioned, the education cost, the training cost. We can have models, we can fast track the disseminations of knowledge. Today, the rates of mobile phone penetration in Africa is becoming very used. Even at the remote area, farmers have more and more access to mobile phone. All these technologies, we can empower small farmers, facilitate their linkage with the market, and also their access to knowledge and to agri input. We can also use the systems already in Africa. We are still lucky to have both informal systems and formal systems, particularly on the seed sector, where you have farmer managed varieties, farmer managed seed, you have formal seed systems. Sometimes it can appear conflicting, but from my perspective, this is also a use for Africa to carry both sides and have a kind of integrated systems where the neglected crop can continue to be grown, to be produced by farmers, and to complete what the modern systems brought on the table. This is something important. We have in the discussion also mentions how Africa continent today the youth can be considered as a youth opportunity to develop youth-led entrepreneurship in agriculture. This is something, again, we found it youth opportunities, and in the seed systems, if we can bring more agripreneurs, more young generations in the system, it can be a good contribution to thrive the seed industry in the continent. And finally, we have found some commitment. There are more and more policy engagement to work on the policies, to work on the harmonizations. We have continental guidelines for harmonization of seed. We have regional process, and more countries have been engaged in the seed system in terms of investment, in terms of policy harmonization. All these together put in the same basket can be opportunities we can harness to make sure that the seed systems and the seed industry in the continent will be continuously developed.
Wrapping it up, if you could share one message with global leaders and the seed industry about supporting farmers in Africa, what would it be?
Yeah, okay. For the global leaders, the key message, which for me is important, is how they can be more committed to foster enabling policies, facilitate more partnership, South-South partnership, North-South partnership, East-West partnership, and also increase the global investment in the sector. I'm personally confident that if we have consistent policy and supportive, which will support innovations and risk management in investment in seed, we can definitely develop a strong seed system and open the regional market for all the players. This is what for the global leaders. But now for the industry, again, what is for us the priorities is to facilitate the access to quality, climate resilience seed for small farmers. If the seed industry can collaborate together and bring more high quality seeds at the affordable cost, accessible by small farmers in Africa, we will be definitely achieve our food security goals and contribute to the economic development of the continent. So again, policies, access to improve seeds with high quality technologies are the solutions to develop the seed sector in the continent. Thank you.
Dr. Diallo, thank you so much for joining us on GermiNation this morning or afternoon where you are.
Thank you for this opportunity to share my thoughts with you.
Thank you for tuning in today. We'd like to give a special thank you to Let's Roll Snowball for allowing us to use the seed song. If you enjoyed it, be sure to check out Let's Roll Snowball on YouTube for more fun and educational songs for children. GermiNation is a podcast produced by the Iowa State University Seed Science Center. The views and opinions expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of Iowa State University or the Seed Science Center. This podcast is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Thank you for listening to GermiNation, where every great story starts with a seed.